In today's video, I'll be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the new Project Zomboid Build 42 that recently released into Unstable. I've had a couple weeks to, tinker around with it and play with it. It's only been out a month. And yeah, I'm just gonna use this video to condense my thoughts and what I think about the update into a video. So yeah, let's get into the good of the update. So the good of the update, the first thing I'll talk about is the animals and the livestock that were added into the game. So they added about 6 new livestock, well, not necessarily livestock. There's 4 animals that are livestock animals that you can use, and there's about 3 wildlife animals. So we're gonna go through the livestock animals first. There's chickens, cows, pigs, and there are sheep. Those are the animals that are livestock animals you can find on farms. There's also turkeys that can be found in trailers. I don't think they can be found in farms, but I did find some turkeys in a trailer. I couldn't find any on farms though. Then there is the wildlife animals. There are rats. There are rabbits and deers. These can all be hunted. I wouldn't recommend hunting the rats, but the deers and the rabbits make for great food, and you can freeze them for winter, whatever. But yeah, overall, the addition of these animals and being able to have, a farm set up anywhere in your base, all you need to do is have an enclosed area that has access for their food and water. I think it makes a pretty good addition to the game and living a sustainable off-the-grid life without being dependent on living in the city, and you can make your own food. The second good that was brought to this update is the enhancement of agricultural things like growing crops, things of that nature. I actually do like the changes that were made with this system in Build 42. So originally in Build 41, the way it worked necessarily was, you dig up, the spots to put your crops on, and you'd grow your crops all summer long until winter. The cold would come and kill all your crops. And yeah, there wasn't necessarily a growing season based off of months, right? It wasn't like real life. But what Build 42 did was they actually changed it. They added a large amount of new crops. They expanded it more than like 6 vegetables. There's a lot more in the game that you can grow now. You can even grow tobacco, but they added growing seasons. So I will put a Google document up on the screen, a screenshot of it, and a link to it, and crediting the Reddit user that created the link. Basically, they created a Google document that shows you all the growing seasons within the game for each single crop. So for an example, let's say you want to grow, tomatoes. Let's say the tomatoes growing season is good from April to May, right? You shouldn't grow it any other time, and it will tell you that. So I think that's really cool. It makes you really self-aware of the time in game and when you should be growing crops and looking through all of your, seed collection and being like, which should I plant now? Which should I plant later? I think that's a really cool addition into the game. So yeah, I like the expansion of that. So moving on to another good thing that I like to talk about is kind of feeds into the good and feeds into the bad, because there's two good ways of it. But yeah, let's go on to it. So the good thing I think that is bad and good at the same time is the new zombie spawn distribution system. So yeah, let's move on to that. Moving on to the zombie distribution system. It is a bit different. It was tweaked a lot. So the way it is now, that Indie Stone wanted to make it realistic, right? So let's say in rural Louisville, like if you go to Louisville, there's gonna be a lot of zombies, right? Opposed to like rural Kentucky side, like Elk County and all these places, right? There's not a lot of zombies. That's the thing I think is cool, because it's realistic. But it gets to a certain point. Like Rosewood is filled with zombies to the extent that you can't even get around the town without getting chomped on, right? And it's such a pain in the ass to do anything in that town. Like you can barely do anything. There's zombies everywhere to the extent that you can't even do anything, like I said. And on top of that, the aiming is a bit funky, wonky. It's been changed, but I like it in a sense. But you need to have up to level aiming too if you really want to use the guns. And now you can't just hack and slash zombies, because there's a new system that was added that I do not like that contributes into the bad. Muscle strain. It is not that bad when you have high fitness, but if you're just a normal person, it gets pretty bad and it's a bit annoying, and it makes it hard for you to fight zombies without blinking. And if you don't have good aiming skill, then you might be cooked. You just need to stealth around and avoid big hordes. But yeah, I do not like that system at all. But I do like the idea of the zombie distribution system, right? Because in the middle of nowhere, there's not a lot of loot, right? But there's, freedom of animals and all these other things. There's not a lot of zombies. They're not a threat out there, right? You can become self-sufficient. But to get tools and all these things in big cities, there's a large amount of zombies, which makes sense, right? But it goes to a certain extent. For an example, I'm going to show a clip of this log cabin that is out kind of by the four corners of the gas station. It's like that four corner strip that leads you up into Riverside. It takes you all throughout the map. There's four corners, right? And if you take a left and you go all the way up, there's this log cabin that has every single new tool in the game, right? All of them. Furnace, forge, all of it. Everything you would need to get started on this update and figure it out. But look at this. Look at all these zombies. Did they invite their fucking extended family, their great cousin, their fucking stepdaughters, aunt? Like the aunt's extended family? Look at the amount of zombies. If you're telling me that this place is quote unquote rural and all these zombies are here, are you really gonna tell me that's realistic, Indie Stone? It's not. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's fucking crazy that there's this amount of zombies out here. And look at that. And if you don't have good aiming skill and you couldn't get any guns and you get muscle strain, then you're gonna get tired out really fucking fast. And then you're gonna get eaten alive, right? And then moving on to another example right here. Let me pull up another one. Right here, you see this? This is a abandoned school / orphanage. Look at the amount of fucking zombies in here. What the fuck? Did they invite everybody to go to this fucking orphanage and look at all the dead kids that were here? Or all the abandoned kids? What the fuck? There's so many zombies. This is abandoned. This is in the middle of nowhere. Why the fuck is everybody here? There's no cars. How the fuck did everyone get here? It doesn't make any sense. So this would go into the bad section, almost the ugly section, but not quite there. But I do not like this system at all. So these two bad things are the ugly. I mean, not, these two bad things are, the zombie distribution system and muscle strain. It doesn't make sense. And ultimately, the last two things I think are the ugly of this update are the lack of accessibility to the new building systems. It is extremely hard to find all of the tools to make a furnace, a forging system to forge metal. It's really hard to sharpen your tools, to find, the stone spinning blades, and all those things are extremely hard to find. And if somebody wanted to come and play the game, right, they had just purchased the game and they want to play and they want to build things, they want to live off the grid, Indie Stone is saying that it is a late term thing to do and set up at your base. But I feel like even in the late term gameplay, most people are not going to set this up. It's going to take a long time. It takes about 12 hours of in-game gameplay, I feel like, to find it, because you have to spend days upon weeks trying to find all these things in-game. You have to find all the magazines while keeping your character alive. You have to find all the materials, you have to get the skills up to build them, then you build them, then you have to find all the resources needed to build items within the system, which takes a long time. I feel like it should be dumbed down a little bit, because the ultra realism is really just making the game kind of not that fun. And another thing that leads into the ultra realism is the lack of, being able to kind of, come up with your own ideas or like mix around parts. For an example, if I was building a wooden fence, you would need 6 craftable sticks and 6 long sticks, 6 long sticks are needed and 2 rags are needed to make one fence, right? And opposed to Build 41, all you needed was planks and nails for that. But now you need all these things, right? You would think long sticks would be easy to find. You can just cut down a tree, saw up some logs and turn some planks into long, sticks, right? Nope, wrong. You have to get a mod to do that. It's not even vanilla. And to find the long sticks, a simple piece that you would need to just, do basic carpentry, you have to forge and forge and forge. And even then, it takes forever to find barely 2 long sticks. So it is extremely, extremely just unrealistic, but trying to be too ultra realistic at the same time. That is what I feel like is the ugly of this update. And, I would hope Indie Stone fixes this and, changes these things in the official release of Build 42. But, knowing Indie Stone, I don't think they will.